grocery stores, restaurants, hotels, conventions, cruise lines, and even special events like weddings. Miami-Dade farmers grow more than 100 different types of crops, including green beans, yellow squash, zucchini, tomatoes, okra, and boniato. The recent COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted the final third of our farmers' vegetable season. More than 50% of our farmers' customer base disappeared when the businesses were forced to shut down here in the United States and Canada. Local retail consumption has also decreased, unfortunately, due to COVID-19. While doing their part to stay safer at home, residents have been shopping less and buying fewer perishables. In an effort to not have their crops spoil, our farmers donated over 1 million pounds of produce to food distribution organizations, including FarmShare and Feeding South Florida. But even these food banks got backed up with excess supply and not enough volunteers to distribute the food. That's why you might have heard about local farmers being forced to plow their crops back into the ground. This was a tragedy, not only for them, but also for our residents, who now are having a tough time finding fresh food during the coronavirus outbreak. So I'm relieved that we're here today to make sure that all these vegetable crops make it from our farmers' fields to our residents' tables. I want to commend our local farmers for their perseverance during these unprecedented times. Their dedication, their determination, outright generosity have ensured that fresh food is on the shelves of our local grocery stores and in our county's food pantries. We're here today in front of Sam Accurcio and Sons Farms. This is just one of the local businesses that have made a huge difference in our county. Sam and his sons are continuing to operate a farm that his family started in South Florida 72 years ago. Longtime South Floridians and farmers. During this COVID-19 pandemic, they have not only donated tens of thousands of pounds of produce, but also opened their wholesale operation to provide low-cost produce to the public. And I know that my wife and my daughter-in-law were here last week picking up this great produce. They've also offered this wholesale opportunity to other growers such as Kern Carpenter. Kern is a third-generation farmer in our community, and you might be able to still get some of his great tomatoes here today if they already haven't sold out. Miami-Dade County is helping get food from farm to the table by allocating close to $900,000 in funding. This will help local food distribution organizations such as FarmShare to buy and distribute produce grown here in Miami-Dade to those in need. I want to thank FarmShare CEO Stephen Shelley, I believe he's here, our farmers and our leaders of our community-based organizations for their support. This is a model that other communities can follow nationwide. I also want to thank Commissioner Dennis Moss, we're in his district, our entire board of county commissioners who have worked together with me to bring this great harvest to our residents. Other growers who have been hit hard by COVID-19 include our plant nurseries. Their foliage brings $600 million to our local economy each year, and they're suffering also. All told, our local agriculture industry generates $830 million a year. In fact, agriculture is the third largest economic engine in our economy, right after tourism and trade. So please, while everybody is practicing social distancing, I want to remind people that now is a great time to eat healthy too. Also want to urge the USDA to assist growers in both produce and nursery industries by moving quickly to distribute the $9.5 billion Federal CARES Act support that has been allocated to agriculture. I also ask the federal officials to temporarily stop the importation of the same types of fruits and local produce that are currently saturating our local markets and hurting our farmers. These actions, along with the continuing local support, will go a long way. And so I'll be willing to take a couple of questions in English. I have the mayor of Homestead who said he didn't want to say a couple words, but I'm going to bring him up anyway. Say a couple words, Mr. Mayor. Mayor Steve Losner.
Thank you, Mayor, for coming down and seeing this fantastic operation. I've known most of these farmers most of my life. We've been here. They're just an integral part of the community, and it's just part of our hometown values that we all pitch in and do what we need to do to help others and keep agriculture strong. Thank you.
Any questions? Yes.
Question about the 900,000. So the 900,000, that's a new appropriation just for this effort, and then it goes
It goes to the CBOs and also to, food banks like FarmShare, that they can buy the local produce. And yes, it is a new allocation. We've allocated more money to this purpose in order to keep our farmers up. We heard that some of these farmers were having a really difficult time. Been here for generations, and they were having to plow their crops back into the ground, and some of them may not survive, the COVID-19 pandemic. It's up to us to do everything that we can to buy this produce. Miami-Dade County is doing its part, but I also want to put this out to the people. Come on down. There's plenty of great produce and fruits down here that you can buy, really at great prices, and then keep our farmers businesses going. I mean, it'd be a shame to have this thing, really ruin a generation. Farmers that have been here for generations. And like I said, this is our third largest portion of our economy, driver of our economy is the agriculture, and that's why I'm here today to kind of put a spotlight down here in South Dade and then the agriculture community.
Can you explain how it's important to look out for the farmer and also how it's helping people who need food?
Well, yeah, it's a double whammy. Number one, we allocated more money so that the farmers can sell their produce to our food banks, and then these food banks in turn help those that are in need. I know that there are a lot of people that have lost their jobs down here in South Florida, and we have to make sure that they're fed. This is one of the efforts that we do as a county to make sure that everybody here, nobody in Miami-Dade goes hungry. Yes.
I'm curious to see on the county level. I know one thing, we talked about how some folks won't survive, and we have nurseries down here that would take pretty hard too. There's a hope that that USDA will maybe make some of the business losses they've seen here fall under crop insurance that normally doesn't happen the way it's set up now. How much leverage as the county mayor can you put on USDA to just quicken that process and get that money to these folks here?
As much leverage as I can, and I also I talk every day to the governor, and I know that this is not the only place in Florida where agriculture is hurting. So I'll make sure that talk to the governor. He has a lot of leverage with USDA. He has a lot of leverage with the president, and so that's who I'm going to talk to try to bring put a spotlight here in South Florida and across the rest of the state. But we also need to stop importing. We think there's been a lot of dumping of produce from foreign countries here that's driving the prices down. We need to stop this the practice of dumping the same kind of produce that our farmers are producing down here.
Nikki Freed on the state level agrees with you. She says, she's already called Publix and Whole Foods. She really wants them to buy Florida produce.
Yes, absolutely.
How does that work though in the different jurisdictions to Trump kind of NAFTA, the federal laws and everything else? Like, how can you really get that produce in?
By putting as much pressure as we can to our local markets. We understand that there's pricing, and we understand that, but still, we think that this is unfair. It's an unfair trade if you get cheap produce down from South America and other places in the world. They dump their produce here, drive the prices down, basically trying to drive our farmers out of business. And we need the agriculture community to survive here in South Florida. And so that's what we need to do. That's why I'm putting a spotlight here today. That's why I came here early in the morning on a Saturday to put the spotlight on our down here in South Dade. And a lot of people don't even know this is down here. And a lot of people don't even know that, hey, there's an opportunity to buy great fresh produce at a very good price here. Obviously, there are a lot of people do know. But there's 2.8 million people living in Miami-Dade County. We just want to bring a spotlight. You can come down here. How often are you guys open?
Oh, it's day to day right now.
Day to day.
We've been doing this every weekend, but the demand is consumer driven. If the consumers say we want fresh from Florida produce while they're in season, the markets will quit bringing it into our markets, and that's what we're trying to drive home to the Floridians. Don't accept foreign produce while we are in season. While we're not, we need to import it in.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have a non-farm agriculture related question.
See, okay.
We just, yesterday we saw Jacksonville beaches open, and we saw folks flooding the beaches. You're
When we reopen our public spaces, it'll be done in a very safe manner. And yes, I saw the images, but I think we need to move forward. I think I know that you're going to see something sooner rather than later in terms of opening our open spaces. That's something that we need to do. And then either today or Monday, I'm going to put together a task force similar to the one I just put for open spaces, for the hospitality industry, for the retail industry, for restaurants, and so we're to see, and also the retail industry. So we need to start thinking about how we're going to open up and do it in a way that limits the spread of the virus. All right, and then put very specific regulations, very specific orders in place. And those folks that want to violate the orders, those are the ones that are going to, feel the weight of enforcement. But for the most part, you see, we're all doing our part. We're all good law-abiding citizens. We don't need to punish good law-abiding citizens for the actions of a few. Good? Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming down.
Derek a little more.